Okay, let's just dive right in. Picture this. Logen Ninefingers, right? Alone, bleeding in the snow. His mind is just full of these brutal memories, but also this really simple, desperate need to just survive.
Yeah, he literally tells himself he has to be realistic.
Exactly. Save his own sorry life. That's the quote.
And then you flip that coin, and you've got someone like Glokta.
Oh, completely. The Inquisitor, yeah. His body's wrecked by torture, shuffling through these, grand halls.
But inside, it's all cynicism, cold calculation, surviving a totally different kind of wilderness, Politics, betrayal.
These aren't just characters, are they? They're like windows. Windows into this world where survival is just harsh. And power looks different depending on who you ask.
Absolutely.
So welcome. We're here to really unpack the material you shared, this amazing book. We want to dig into its core, find those moments that really stick with you, the insights that matter.
And help you make sense of these complex people and the, frankly, dangerous world that's unfolding.
Yeah, our mission is to help you get truly well-informed, right down to the heart of this story.
And look, as we explore these challenging landscapes and these really complex people, remember that your own thinking about this can be pushed further.
How so?
Well, there's associated mindful moments content available. It's on our YouTube channel.
Ah, right. The AI-assisted analysis.
Exactly. It uses AI analysis of the book, and it's designed specifically to get you thinking, reflecting on the themes, the characters, everything we're talking about today. It's another way to engage.
That's a great point. Okay, so let's get into this world. It's not like it lays everything out neatly for you.
No, not at all. The book builds its reality more like a mosaic, piece by piece.
Through the eyes of really different people, you get these glimpses. Sometimes they even conflict with each other.
That's what makes it so compelling, I think. You're kind of forced to assemble the bigger picture from these individual viewpoints.
It creates this layered reality. Everyone's got their own truth, or maybe their own lie.
Precisely. And the first piece we get is Logen Ninefingers.
Yeah, we meet him totally alone, injured, after fighting Shenka. That grim determination, it's immediate. Just gotta survive.
But survival for Logen, it's complicated, isn't it? It's always bumping up against who he was.
It's a bloody nine.
The infamous Bloody Nine, yeah. The book mentions these horrific acts, like splitting Shama Heartless shoulder to gut so his insides fell out. Ugh.
It's brutal, and there's this constant internal fight, right, between the guy trying to find some peace and the monster that's always just there.
He even thinks about vengeance or dying in battle as maybe a fitting end for that old self.
Makes you wonder if he can ever really leave that behind. And his journey, it's physically just awful. Seeking Baez, carrying poor Quaya through that terrain.
But even in that hardship, you get that amazing line about finding value in small things.
Oh, the dry boots line, yeah.
You have to learn to love the small things in life, like dry boots. You have to love the small things when you've nothing else. It just paints such a stark picture of where he's at.
It really grounds it. And then, bang, he's dropped into Adua, the capital.
And the contrast is huge. He's just completely overwhelmed. The scale of it. Hundreds of thousands of people, like black ants.
And how strange the people seem to him, the Union Pinks.
Compared to the North, yeah. Baez welcomes him to civilization. But Logen...
He's clearly uncomfortable, viscerally so. Too crowded, too hot, too different.
It's a world away from the mountains he knows, for better or worse.
Which brings us neatly, or maybe not so neatly, to San Dan Glokta.
Yeah, his world seems luxurious on the surface, right? Without of questions. But it's just another kind of prison.
And his physical state defines everything. The constant pain, the empty gums, needing that cane.
The book is unflinching about it, describing his struggles, even the humiliating stuff like shitting himself.
And his thoughts are filled with that trauma from Gurkel, remembering the torture, giving up secrets, crying.
It's a really raw look at the long-term cost of torture.
And his methods as an inquisitor, equally brutal, just psychologically.
Totally. Fear, manipulation, confess. That's his whole approach. We see it with Ruse, with Teufel.
But what's really key here, I think, is how Glokta himself, despite his power, is just a piece in a bigger game.
Oh, absolutely. His dealings with Superior Kaline, and especially Archlector Salt, they show the layers of manipulation.
Salt is just ice cold, basically admitting he knew about the leak the whole time and was just using Glokta.
And that line about Glokta being a mad cripple.
Right, followed by Glokta's own realization, bang, manipulated. Yeah. Shows how precarious power is.
Even when you think you're wielding it.
Whoa.
And he's surrounded by those practicals. What a crew.
Frost, Severard, Vitari, Goyle.
Yeah.
Bizarre, unsettling.
Frost just sitting there in the dark, Severard ambling, Vitari basking.
And Goyle, the brutal one, thinking he's solved everything. Glokta needs them, but you feel his constant exasperation.
It really makes you question loyalty versus, I don't know, twisted codependency in that place.
Okay, shifting gears from that darkness. Jezal, Dan Luthar.
Jezal. His world is all surface, isn't it? Privilege, vanity.
Fencing, status, looking good, checking his reflection, flashing past ladies.
That arrogance comes through in little things, like making Brint fetch the coin after the card game.
But it's so clearly a cover for insecurity, which his training with Lord Marshal Varuz just rips open.
Varuz is merciless, calls his performance detestable. Jezal struggles, complains. He just can't handle real challenge.
And then RD enters the picture.
Yeah, this massive distraction. He tries to avoid her, but can't stop thinking about her.
The book even quotes him realizing it's love and then immediately feeling contempt for it.
It shows how that world of status just leaves him emotionally stunted. He can't process real connection.
So his big fencing match against Gorst is fascinating because it seems to come out of nowhere.
Right. He's terrified, struggling, and then suddenly dominates. The crowd loves it.
But Glokta's watching, and he immediately thinks something is wrong here.
How did he suddenly become, as he thinks, the greatest swordsman ever? The book really leaves you hanging on that one, questioning it.
And then the complete opposite. Column West, all duty, all burden.
Constantly busy, overwhelmed, organizing for war, feeling like he's doing everything. Why me? He thinks.
His main worry, though, seems to be his sister Artie.
Deeply worried. Wants her settled, safe. It's quite vulnerable when he awkwardly asks Glokta to keep an eye on her.
He also faces that nasty class prejudice head-on.
Oh, yeah. The run-in with Major Valamir. Being called a dirty commoner, insults about his family, Valamir sneering about Artie.
Shows the rigid lines he has to navigate despite being competent.
And then, bam, his world changes. Lord Marshal Burr tells him the war in the north. It's already started. Dunbreck's fallen.
Officers he might know, like Colonel Arenhorm, are dead. West gets promoted, pulled onto Burr's staff.
And the danger becomes very real, very personal. People he knows are dying.
Finally, Pharaoh Melgen. Her perspective is fierce, violent pragmatism.
And total mistrust of Pinks, the Union folk. Survival's everything, immediate needs, guarding water, burying the dead fast.
Her language is so harsh. Stop your mouth, cunt, telling people you bury your own.
Her past trauma, you feel it simmering under the surface, probably slavers, the Gurkish. It's forged her into this.
She thinks about how she would die if caught cutting her own throat. That's a desperate independence, refusing to be captive again.
Then she encounters Yulwei, this mysterious old man.
He seems wise, but she's slow to trust, reluctant.
But through him, we start getting hints of a much bigger, older conflict.
Yeah, overhearing him and Beaz talking about Khalul and the second law.
That it is forbidden to eat the flesh of man. That line triggers something fierce in Pharaoh.
The book says he was talking her language now.
Her personal fight for survival suddenly connects to this ancient, dark history. She gets it immediately.
So we've met this incredible cast, each in their own corner, but these corners are about to smash together because of these bigger forces at play.
Definitely. Inside the Union, there's all this struggle and corruption. Glokta shows us the Inquisition, the bickering in the Open Council Thule, Herschel Dan Meade.
And the Guild of Mercers, their whole corrupt setup collapsing, Magister cult burning documents.
Yeah.
It shows the rot.
And outside, the threats are real and they're moving. Up north, the Northmen are up in arms, raiding.
Beathed's declared himself king of the Northmen. He's making war.
And that scene in the Open Council with Fenris the Feared and White-Eye Hansel, provocative doesn't even cover it. A direct challenge. Talk of a three signs prophecy.
Hansel's line is chilling, isn't it? Quoting that most ancient of laws, that the strong take what they wish from the weak.
It frames the whole conflict, not just politics, but like a fundamental clash, or maybe just brute force logic.
And at the same time, the Gurkish Empire is rising. New and vigorous emperor.
Building a fleet, a power at sea, threatening places like Dagoska, Westport.
Pharaoh doesn't care about these pointless names of faraway places.
Which just highlights how disconnected some people are, contrasting with Bayaz and Yulwei, who are clearly worried.
And the book stresses this isn't just talk. The war's started. Dunbreck's fallen. Officers are dead. West feels that reality check.
So beyond the politics and war, there's this deep layer of mystery. Old world stuff. Ancient power.
Bayaz is right at the center of that, isn't he? The first of the Magi.
Yeah, an ancient figure. Striking appearance, magnificent old man, dressed all in white. His library with just one book, endlessly copied.
And his connections to history, Herod the Great, Juvens, Cnedius, it feels like he's stepped right out of legend.
And then there's the House of the Maker, that weird, inaccessible tower in the capital.
Jezal sees it, Logan's awestruck, Bayaz takes them inside.
The hidden entrance, the sliding key, the dizzying height. Jezal feels like a king. Glokta's terrified.
And inside, that huge map of the Circle of the World.
Bayaz explains it, hinting at its connection to everything, maybe more than we know. The place feels outside of normal time.
And references to magic, the art, and the past are everywhere. Glokta reads that fresco about Cnedius killing Juvens, the Magi getting revenge.
And they're clearly looking for something ancient, powerful, the seed and the key.
The Adeptus Historical finds mentions in old texts, but what are they really? Total mystery.
And then Bayaz just drops it. Casually tells Bassett, I am a liar.
Wow. Just like that. It completely flips your perception of him. Everything he says is suddenly suspect.
And you immediately think back to Glokta realizing Sult manipulated him.
Exactly. Who is in control? Can you trust anyone? Even the first of the Magi admits he lies.
That theme lies. Manipulation, questioning what's real. It runs through the whole book. It forces you, the reader, to question everything, just like the characters have to.
Let's pull out a few specific moments that really show the power of the storytelling here. Logan's fight in the library.
Oh, yeah. He's tired, hurt, got a blunt sword, but the Bloody Nine comes out.
And the result is just visceral, brutal. His thought, if you say one thing for Logen Ninefingers, say he's a killer. Chilling self-awareness? Or maybe just acceptance.
Or Glokta facing Hornlock.
Yeah.
That power shift. Glokta's empty smile, just pushing and pushing for the confession.
Hornlock desperately trying to bargain. Every man has his price.
And Glokta knows it. His whole job is finding that price.
Jezal's fencing match again? How did that happen? The book leaves it ambiguous, but...
Glokta's suspicion versus the crowd going wild. It screams manipulation. And Jezal thinking he was the greatest swordsman ever. Is that real confidence or something else?
And the sheer, stark reality of war hitting West when Burr lists the dead officers. Captain Silber, Captain Haas, Colonel Ehrenhorn.
Yeah, they're not just names on a report. They're people Burr knew, people West might have known. Brings it right home.
And Pharaoh. Burying those soldiers after the ambush, her harsh ritual, telling Yole, you bury your own.
It's this moment of raw, pragmatic truth in a world full of hypocrisy. It just defines her brutal code.
These scenes, they're more than plot points, aren't they? They give the world its texture, its emotional weight, make it feel real, even with the magic and stuff.
Absolutely. They make you feel the world.
So, thinking about these characters, Logen fighting his past, Glokta surviving through cynicism, Jezal's shallow ambition, West's duty, Pharaoh's hardness, what stands out to you listening? What perspectives click? What surprised you about them?
And maybe think about how these themes, survival, power, ambition, duty, lies, how do they echo things you see? How do people navigate tough situations, power structures, or, hidden truths in our world?
As you mull that over, don't forget you can explore more with the Mindful Moments AI analysis. It's on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a great way to dig into specific questions or characters that this discussion might have sparked for you.
And remember, this book is just one world we explore. Check out our other podcasts for deep dives into other fascinating stories and ideas.
Definitely.
So ultimately, when you look at these characters all wrestling with their past, their present, all believing their own truths, or maybe their own necessary lies, think about this.
In a world built on conflicting views and admitted deception where trust is maybe a luxury, how do you figure out what's real?
And what's the true cost of all these games of power being played from top to bottom?
That's the question, isn't it?
If you found this exploration valuable, please hit subscribe wherever you listen. That way you won't miss what's next.
And share this discussion. Pass it along to someone else who enjoys getting lost in complex stories and big ideas.
And if you haven't experienced this book yet and want to, there's a link to purchase it right in the description.
Finally, just a general thought, whether you're reading, watching the news, listening to us, or anyone else. Always try to think critically about the information you encounter. Question things.